Plain and simple. I get it's a day in. Technically, it hasn't started, but the tampering period has started. So far, are the 49ers meeting your expectations of what you thought this free agency period would look like?
Yeah, I mean, if I give him a grade, I'm giving him an incomplete. Like, I don't know. I think that meeting expectations, I would have to say no, but maybe for a different reason that why other people are saying no. Jesse, when you and me were talking, I think it was just last week, we were talking about free agency. I didn't expect them to already start making these decisions about guys like Armstead, where, obviously we've heard your rants on Twitter and on your show about it makes no sense what they're doing with Armstead, but they're already showing that they're looking not only for making the team better right now, but also giving them some wiggle room, in the future. With all these deals have been 2-year deals instead of the usual 1-year deals that they're doing, and they're not overpaying for anybody, which is smart because we all know, obviously BA's contract is coming down. Brock Purdy, possibly is going to be getting paid here pretty soon, and then guys like Diamondro Lenore, who I feel like should get a contract, things like that. So that they're being extremely smart. Obviously, it's not as exciting as you would probably want it to be as far as big names coming in, but I like what they've done with the defensive line. Every single year, the people that they bring in, people are like, oh, no big names and all of this kind of stuff, and then all of a sudden the next year when they go off in free agency, they're like, I can't believe they let so-and-so go. I can't believe they let so-and-so go. And it's like, dude, year before you were talking about why did they bring so-and-so in? So this is what they do. They know where their strengths are. They know what Kostrik's going to be able to do with these guys. And, some of the defensive linemen that they brought in, Jesse, I think are going to, be good for us. If not, guy like Leonard could be even better, right? So I'm fine with it right now. It's still an incomplete. I still want to see what they do as far as corners. I want them to bring in some secondary help, see if who they bring back for offensive line. But I didn't really expect more than one splash player, and I don't know if they still have one coming in. But even if they don't have that splash player, I understand what their limitations are, and ultimately, I think bringing back most of the team still puts you at the top team in the NFC in my eyes. So, so I would say incomplete, but nothing out of the ordinary, nothing that I'm down about, I guess.
Has anybody left that you were a little bit bummed about or surprised about?
I mean, bummed because I like the guy like Farrell. I liked him. So seeing him leave was, was tough. But these guys are going and getting paid more than I would want to pay them on the 49ers. So I understand it. You know, I'm not against anybody going out there and getting paid. They're putting their bodies on the line and, go out there and make as much money as you can. These teams aren't loyal to you, so just stack up your money, pay, make sure you set you and your family's life up for as long as possible for as short of a career that these guys have. So I'm all about it. I know, player movement and whatnot. Armstead, we still don't know if he's leaving or not. There's conflicting reports of what's going on with his contract. But when he leaves, obviously him being such a big leader for this team is going to be sad. But also, he's somebody who I think, is not as good as the money we're paying him at this point either. So it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make sense, but but he's not as, I get it. He's not as good as the money they're paying him, but they're going to pay him whether he's here or he's not. So for me, it doesn't make sense. But that being said, I look at what the 49ers have done. I'm really not mad at any guys that they've brought in. A little bit disappointed they didn't get like a Daniil Hunter. You always fall in love with a guy in free agency or the draft or whatever. Usually you don't land those guys. So looking at what Daniil Hunter went for though today, I had to throw it out there on Twitter, and I'm going to say it here. You know, you look at the three guys that the 49ers signed, they signed all three of them for the price that they got Daniil Hunter for. So in hindsight, it's like, yeah, I mean, I would have loved to have had Daniil Hunter, but at 25 million, absolutely not. It was never feasible. And getting some depth pieces was extremely important for this team. They had to make up for what they're going to lose in free agency. And also, you know, trying to add depth to this team and this line, you can only spend so much money on big name guys if you want depth. And I think that depth, 2019, depth was huge for this team. And it had really been up through, I think this year was the first time you saw a little bit of a fall off in the depth, and it cost them a little bit at times. And so for me, getting that depth is extremely important. I'm not mad at any of the guys necessarily that they signed. I know they're not big names, but for the most part, they're getting younger. For the most part, they're getting healthier. And so I think it's fine what they're doing. Not disappointed overall, but not meeting my expectations, I guess, based off of what I had hoped was going to happen coming into it. But to your point, still very early. Technically, it hasn't even started.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean,
And
other
there's
than
still
the
a lot of
Armstead
great.
thing, that's like the one thing for me that I'm like, dude, I don't get it. And people try to explain it or try to make sense of it for me, and nobody's been able to change my mind. So I don't
Yeah, I
know.
mean, to me, I think it's just the loyalty thing that the 49ers have shown. And what I mean by that is guys that are tenured with the team, they tend to do what's right by the player type of situation. So, I think they went in, they needed him to take a pay cut. He obviously didn't want to do that. Maybe he feels like he can make more on the open market. So they're allowing him to have that chance. And I'm guessing this is absolutely obviously no reports or anything. Maybe they have like a handshake deal that, hey, if you don't see on free agency market, what you're looking for, maybe we could come back and you could do the pay cut type of thing and we keep you on the team longer. So that's the only thing that it makes sense to me is this is just only out of loyalty to Armstead for what they do. Because you've seen them do that with other players, let them kind of go test free agency, not franchise them, things like that, even though it was in what's best for the team. They kind of want to create that culture that, hey, we're players first. And it's led to a lot of players loving playing here, but you know, I guess I don't know where you would stand on that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind them doing that, I guess, to a certain extent, but here's the way that I see it. He's in the final year of his deal. He's getting paid a lot of money. Yes, he didn't want to take a pay cut. I understand that from his point. The flip side of that is you're in a win now window that is rapidly closing. Like, I think that we can agree, at least with this team as it sits, the window is closed after this year. Now, that doesn't mean they can't bounce back in 2 years and get there again and kind of retool on the fly. But with this team and the main cast of characters that we think of, this is likely it. Maybe last year might have been it. We might be stretching it now, but they still have a chance, at least on paper, it feels like that. Eric Armstead brings enough value to where you just make him write out his contract. I mean, this is a harsh business. This is a cold business. It's not like he's getting underpaid to be here. He's getting overpaid to be here. So make him ride that out. If he's not willing to rework the deal, that's fine. I understand that. That's the business side of it on his side. Well, on the 49ers side, guess what? We're trying to win a Super Bowl. You're good enough to still be here versus not paying or paying you a ton to not be here. That doesn't make any sense. So make him write it out. That's the way that it should work. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree, but I tend to trust this front office and trust, Kyle, obviously. So there's got to be a reason for it. I just don't know what that reason is, Jesse. I'm with you on that.
I mean, and Alex, I listen, and I appreciate your comment because a lot of people have this sentiment. By the way, I agree. I but the problem is that I wish they wouldn't have reworked his deal last year so that he was a true free agent this year and we could just be free and clear. But Alex, they're paying Eric Armstead regardless of whether he's on this team or not. So is he not good enough to be on this team at all? You're saying that It's better off to pay him his salary to not be here than to be here for one more year versus replacement level defensive tackle that you're going to get for $3 to $5 million on the open market. You think that player is better than Eric Armstead? Like, it's just worth it to give up his roster spot because they're paying him no matter what. Like, we got to be clear about that. They are paying him no matter what. So whether he's here or not, he's getting paid by the 49ers. To me, I think he's good enough, even if it's 10 games, to be worth to be here. That's my whole point.